right, coming back at you with another afternoon rewind. Got a very, very special guest in the house. This gentleman, William Lahey, I call him Big Bill, was really a pioneer in the industry of cannabis. Lucky enough to have met him many years ago, and he kind of put me under his wing a little bit. He's been a mentor of mine. I really respect him, and I appreciate the relationship that we've built through the years, and I'm glad to have him here today. Coincidentally, Bill's a veteran going into Veterans Day weekend, so I thought it'd be really fitting to have you here today. I really want to let the East Coast know, and the CBD Center peoples and beyond know who Bill Lahey is. If there was a Hall of Fame of cannabis, I think your face would be up there. So without further ado, I want to introduce Bill.
Thanks, Chris. Actually, I'm honored to be here today. You're right. Yeah, we did meet a few years ago, and you did listen, and you did take advantage of some of the plights that we had in the West Coast, and certainly the West Coast is nothing like the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done well. I'm proud of what you're bringing to the community.
Nice. And today we're going to bring awareness. You gotta, if you don't know the people that paved the way, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of cannabis history lesson for everybody. Bill, you grew up. You were born in Massachusetts. You went to high school in Rhode Island at St. Andrews. Tell us a little bit how your journey, started from St. Andrews and beyond into cannabis.
Well, that was easy. After St. Andrews, I did 1 year of college, and then I went into the service. And of course, going into the service in the 60s, you know darn well where you're going to go. We all ended up in Southeast Asia, which is my first exposure to cannabis, which was delightful. I don't drink alcohol, never have. My father was an alcoholic, so it kind of turned me off, and cannabis was helpful. It did exactly what I was hoping it would do, made me feel better. So when I came back, got out of the service, I immediately, do I want to go back to Westfield, Massachusetts, or do I want to go to Los Angeles or California? Absolutely, California won out. And when I got out there, of course, it was a lot of cannabis in California. In 1996 was when they passed Prop 215, which actually gave you the right to have 6 immature and 6 mature plants, which nobody ever did. Growing it's an art. You got to be very careful. You got to tend to it every day. You're like your children. And most of the guys on the West Coast have been fighting this for 50 years. 96 is 24 years ago, so everybody was coming in on that. The city of West Hollywood actually opened a collective, and it was the first and only one in California, and the federal government immediately came and confiscated the building.
And what was the name of that company?
It was a church.
It was, okay.
Yeah, it was a church, and I don't remember the name of the church.
Was it like a church of cannabis?
No. It was actually a.
The retail store was in a church?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because it was all medical for a lot of the homeless. You know much about West Hollywood. It's a heavily populated gay community,
mm-hmm.
and they've done a marvelous job. And if you look at the history of the AIDS virus from 81 to 2001, a city that had 27,000 people lost 10,000 of its residents.
Wow, it's a big number.
And there was nothing that was helping the AIDS victims. So in 96, when they opened that up, they went ahead and opened it up, hoping that they could provide some things. And that was why, after they closed it down, there was nothing. But in 2004, we were able to open.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened on the east side of West Hollywood. And the city was great.
Mm-hmm.
At that particular point, and between that and the next 3 years, I bet there were 2,000 collectives that opened in LA.
Oh, wow.
2,000. I mean, they were just all illegal.
That's a couple on every block, it seems like.
So in 2007, they registered. You had to register. You had a criterion to fit, and 187 of us actually qualified and got permission to operate. And then that just became a legal battle, one after the number, and it depleted all the finances. The cannabis was an economic engine for us, but when you have to hire the lawyers and fight it time after time after time, at one point, Los Angeles had banned cannabis from the city completely.
Oof.
They overturned it.
Yeah.
We fought it. Bill Rosendahl, one of the city council members, who was a cannabis activist and dying of cancer, it helped him through his plight. He fought for it. He turned it a horseshoe, and he said to the other council members, "You're not going to turn your back on me." So they ended it. But not that many years ago, they were going to ban it completely, and now they consider it an essential business to be open during the virus.
Ain't that something?
So that's a whole 180 there.
Yep.
But yeah, there's still a lot of illegals. They don't know what to do about it. As soon as they close them, they open up somewhere else.
Yep.
People forget Rhode Island is 1/4 the size of LA County.
Yeah, we're just a small drop in the bucket comparatively to LA and the cannabis scene in LA, and then California's a big place. They have a lot of pockets of great cannabis influencers and genetic strands, breeders. I mean, California is the capital, in my opinion, probably of cannabis in the world, or was. Right now with the states getting legalized, there's a lot of good stuff going on in New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island's on the verge of maybe going recreational. Now, you dealt with medical dispensaries.
Right.
Now, you were in like a pretty hip spot in West Hollywood, probably lots of clubs. And did you get any movie stars or musicians coming through the doors at the pharmacy?
Well, oh yeah, all the time. I mean, every walk of life. Seth Rogen was in every other day.
Nice. He has a brand now.
Oh, he's got a definite brand, and he lived around the corner. So, as he claims, he put all our kids through college.
He strategically picked that apartment right around the corner from the pharmacy. That's cool.
I think so, yeah. And, of course, Drew Carey, who did my first interview for Reason TV.
Yep.
He was a big advocate.
He's the Price is Right guy now.
Price is Right, yeah.
I've caught a couple flicks being home with the virtual school and sneaking some of that Price is Right. But I think they're all rewinds. Who else do you have come through the doors?
Oh, jeez. When I think of the name, when I see them, I know that, but you got to keep it down. But we would end up in the Inquirer and everything else with all of the different people, all of the celebrities. Everyone came in. The director from that did JFK, can't think of his name at the moment. He did the movie Savages, and he took it after the pharmacy. He used that and actually I was an extra in the movie. Everyone that was in the movie was related to have done something with him in another movie. The guy in the wheelchair that I waited on in the movie was the one who wrote The 4th of July.
Oh, nice.
So, he had a nice little deal there. And like I say, I'm always forgetting names, but they all come in. You would be surprised. There was Humphrey Bogart's wife that just passed away from. She came in all the time, and you had just about everyone. I'll think of them as we go along.
Yeah, no worries. Must have just been pretty cool, being in cannabis, and I can only imagine. You have a retail medical shop. It's somewhat small. It's mom and pop, and from what I've seen, customers of these shops that do well and do it right, you gain, a great relationship with these folks. Sometimes some of the most famous, not famous, but best relationships, because everybody likes their weed guy, so to speak.
Oh yeah,
quote unquote.
Oh yeah, a lot of them want to come in early.
Yeah,
but we were very strict on the timing. Actually, we ended up with 3 stores. One in West Hollywood, that was the main one. Then we opened in Westwood, and then we opened in Venice on Abbot Kinney, which is one of the most expensive streets in the country.
Very weed forward, weed friendly Venice Beach. Lots of action there. You must have had some interesting characters coming in on a daily basis.
All the time, everywhere.
Now you got this store. You guys are selling the Bomb Chronic. I want to bring up that strand that we had the opportunity to talk about the other day. But I mean, how are you guys getting the flower? Was it underground? Was it above board at that time? What was it like? It was like the Wild West.
Pretty much, we supported all organic small farmers, and we would come in and they would. Well, first I wanted to back it up a little bit. The pharmacy had a whole different philosophy than the other stores. There was a collective directly across the street, and when you got there, you would ring a buzzer, and they would buzz you in to a 4x8 foot cage. Then after you cleared that, you'd be buzzed into a showroom where you'd show your identification. Then they buzz you into another showroom where you pick the item that you want. Then you put your money through a window, and they hand you back a bag.
Yep.
The pharmacy had an open door policy. When we were open, the doors were wide open. We didn't have any locks. That wasn't the way. We also hired herbalists and acupuncturists to be staff members. We also sold other herbs. We had herbalists there that we made compounds for a number of reasons. One, the baristas, or bud tenders, if you want to call them, you couldn't write their wages off. But you could write off herbalists and acupuncturists as long as you were doing it. And cannabis is a holistic medicine. So we were promoting more holistic medicines. We had the largest children's holistic medicine in the country, as a matter of fact. So,
Wow.
and it was real great. But we did definitely support organic. We didn't want anything but organic if we found anything that wasn't there. And of course, it got to be difficult, so we ended up growing our own for a while till the feds came and said not to do that anymore. Took us away.
Now, was that an indoor or outdoor greenhouse?
That was outdoor. And then we also had a kitchen that we made all our own edibles and our own drinks, because we were finding that people just didn't do it right. And we had absolutely no exceptions on that. I mean, we forced everyone else in there to up their game a little bit. We started an organization called GLACA, Greater Los Angeles Caregivers Alliance Group. And that represented us to the city and gave us a whole different connection for different vendors, I guess you'd call them. And now, we were talking the other day about Sandman.
Yeah, that's the strand, huh? The Sandman.
The
Now,
Sandman.
you know, I'm a cannabis enthusiast, and I never heard about the Sandman.
Well, that was $100 an eighth.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
That was absolutely, and the guy that had it has lost to genetics.
Oh man, I wonder if he passed them around to any of his good friends? He kept them to himself. Oh,
Yeah, no, he lost it. He's in the restaurants now, but yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
yeah.
Then the next best
Was
one.
that a sativa or
No, it was
indica?
Yeah,
Oh, I like that.
yeah. Most of the edibles are sativas.
Mm-hmm.
And we did develop a system to convert some indica edibles, because not everybody wants to be up.
Couch locked or
Yeah.
upped, and
Yeah.
it's good to have those alternatives. And I mean, you guys were the first ones to, basically some of the first ones to do it in the country, and you did it right. And that's something that we've definitely picked up upon, and like you said, raise the bar. We at the CBD Center want to raise the bar for all the other CBD competitors out there in Rhode Island and out there and beyond. So as we spread our wings and grow, that's something that we'll always want to do, and not only want to do it, we have a personal relationship. Can't let people down that taught us the right way and showed us the direction and gave us a map and a footprint to get where we want to go. So we're cognizant of that, and at the CBD Center, we're trying to make you proud. And you roll with a great crew, and my Uncle Bill and some other folks that honorable stand-up guys that we want to put to the table the best possible product, no exceptions. So kudos to you for
Thank you.
showing me the way there. which is awesome. So you were in the pharmacy. You exited the pharmacy. How did you make your way back from, California, and now you're back on your East Coast? You're now enjoying your retirement.
Retirement, grandchildren.
Yeah.
My son and his daughter-in-law. They're just that's what it's all about, family.
Mm-hmm.
So the pharmacy was my family there in California.
Yep.
I mean, we definitely.
How many years did you?
Did it from 2004 to just about where I moved here 2 years ago.
Yep.
So, and I still get calls. I still am involved in some things back there.
Mm-hmm.
MedMen bought the West Hollywood store.
Yeah, when I came out there, I don't know, it must be like at least 5 years back. You gave me the tour of the store, and it was a recently converted MedMen, and that was like basically their flagship store that they wanted, in my opinion, probably to imitate like an Apple store, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
How'd you feel when you walked into the everything changed into an Apple store, because your store was a bit different?
Well, that particular building I had the lease on.
Yeah.
So they had to buy the lease out of me, and
Oh, that's a good position.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice.
But it was funny when our first location in West Hollywood, the guy was charging us $6,800 a month for a little 1,800 square foot building. And
so he knew.
Oh yeah, he knew exactly. Yeah,
he was in the know. He wasn't a landlord that wasn't in the know.
Yeah, and most of the landlords that were selling, they didn't care as long as they got the cash up front.
Yep. And everything was cash, right? You got taxes, cash, everything cash.
Not always. We ended up getting a bank account until it got closed.
Yeah.
They would close them, and we'd open them.
And you did have credit processing?
We had credit cards until they turned them down.
Yep.
The local banks all wanted it, but the corporate ones didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
We had credit cards with Wells Fargo, and they sent a sales representative by to talk more business, and she walked in, and of course it's open door policy, so they walked right in, and there's artwork everywhere, and you could smell the cannabis from a block away. Yeah, and
what a great smell.
Yeah, a great smell for us, but she went running back, and I mean, within 2 hours, we got a notice that no credit cards. Then we went to Square for a while.
Oh, nice.
But it was always constantly
yeah, we battled with that with the credit process, and then last year was everybody got dropped at one time by a company called, I believe it was Elevon. Maybe they dropped like 80,000 accounts at once, and people are scrambling just to get anything that they can, and it hurts business.
Yeah, we tried to build our own POS system for just cannabis. We spent like $100,000 building it all out, and all we did was create a job for the guy that built it for us to come in once every 3 days to boot it back up and everything. So, but now they have some wonderful companies that are offering some excellent programs so that you can. We finally went over to the simple ones that they use, like at 7-Eleven and everything else like that, which is just Microsoft.
Yeah, that's the simplicity to it. As long as you can keep proper inventory, simple as keep it simple. Back to the open door policy.
Yeah,
Did you ever get robbed?
Oh yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much. Personally, my rob was, and also was raided by the feds too. So which one do you want to hear about first?
Let's hear the feds first, because I've heard both, and the grand finale is definitely the store robbery.
Well, again, when they came rushing in, they were all dressed up as like little Darth Vaders, and of course they got all these guns and machine guns and everything, and they come in.
Did they have their lightsabers?
No lightsabers, but they didn't know what to do because the door was open. Mm-hmm. See, they're used to coming in and bashing in a door. So they're coming in and they're kind of like not sure what to do. And then they took their masks off, and they're all like 21 years old. They're all like kids. Mm-hmm. And the manager that I had there, he saw him coming, and he slid over and sat down in the patient's chair and claimed that he was just a patient waiting his turn. So they told him to take a hike. And the feds, they didn't they didn't arrest anyone. They just took the product, and they took your computers, and they would study them and come back, years later with an indictment or something against someone if they felt that it was there. But they just intimidated everyone, put us in handcuffs, sat us down for 3 hours, and then when they were done loading it all up, then they let us all go.
And then you can open up the next day as is, or back to business?
We opened up 3 hours later.
Oh, nice, even better.
Yeah, we made some calls. Fortunately, we had some wonderful friends that were able to share their product from us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a one of the few times that I saw everyone jump together. And they would also, GLACA, all of the 187 clubs that were part of that, they would come and protest at any of the, while the raids are going on.
Mm-hmm.
They were all out front, creating a scene.
You need that you need that dedicated, passionate group of people to come together. You probably needed that GLACA. And that's a great word. It sounds just like a rap song. GLACA, GLACA. Like I've heard it. Maybe reggae or something. Just wanted to keep saying that. But you really need you need those folks that are going to be, you guys pounded the pavement. It was new. I mean, a lot of people back east didn't want to put their neck out the first few years it's available or was coming available. Now, it's vogue.
Yeah, no, definitely. GLACA was an excellent, and we fought hard to make the changes. And that was what the city was relying on. But they never wanted to let us in.
I heard the city of LA can be a tough city council to deal with.
Yeah, they were, but they weren't. I mean, it's tough to, LA is like a state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys are powerful guys. But I found that we had trouble getting a meeting for them. But then I came up with a brainstorm. They're all running for re-election at some point. So by putting on a fundraiser for them, I raised $10,000-$15,000 for them, and they would have to come and spend a whole evening with all the cannabis clubs.
Yep.
So no longer did we fight and only get to see a deputy that wouldn't say anything to anybody anyways. It was just a waste of time. We had his ear for hours, and it paid off. Bill Rosendahl and some of the others.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Zine was a cop for 34 years, and then he was 9 years as a city council member. And he was a good advocate for us, as Bill was. Eric Garcetti, who's now the mayor, he was another good one. But the city itself, the city attorney, and the attorney general were not. They interpreted the laws how they wanted to interpret them, which was different how we were interpreting the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they had a little more power than we did on the final say of it. But yeah, no, it was interesting to go to the city council every Tuesday, get up there and speak about something. And of course, you wonder whether they're paying attention to you. And I tried to get an ordinance, and let me back up a second. I co-wrote the author of a ordinance for West Hollywood. After I got in there, they were about to have it expire. And nobody had made any provisions to carry it on. And 1,000 people had signed a petition against us. So now I had owned a print shop for 29 years, so the community knew me. So I went out and got letters of endorsement from them. I gave them key talking points,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got back. Some of them copied paragraph word for word, but a couple of them had the same paragraph. So then I thank God for computers, because I had to go back to them and say, do you mind not using this, changing this a little bit? And they were all great about that. And then I asked them for a letter for the pharmacy, which was a little bit different, but I actually got it. I got a church to endorse us, which was rare. And I got the school behind us. I went before the city council, and it was funny. The PTA, the Parents Teachers Association, and I was going to have a meeting with them, and I went over early, and there was this one gal that was there, and she called her son over, and she called him an unusual name, and I said, gee, that's an unusual name. How did you get that? He said, well, my husband and I, when we were dating, we went to England, and we were making love behind this building, and we said, if we ever have any kids, we're going to name them that. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a lot of information for a stranger, And then I said, well, I'm here for a meeting with the PTA. And she goes, oh, well, I'm the president of the PTA.
Oh, great. Just like that show Shameless. Where's Frank?
So they asked me if I had any samples for them, and I said no, but they gave me a letter of recommendation. And then I lined up people to talk for the city council, and I had like 100 people that were coming. And the city council and the mayor of West Hollywood told me if one more person had got up, he was going to vote against me. But we had enough people to make it work. And they, like I say, they were really for the city of West Hollywood, and that was great. LA is a different story. That was in Westwood and Venice. But Bill Rosendahl, that was in his category.
Mm-hmm.
So we really had, Bill helped me around things that normally you would never get done. Never get done. And I tried to be transparent. One thing you could say about me was that I told the truth. I didn't pull any bullshit. I wasn't going to play any games. It either was right or it was wrong. And it paid dividends, you know. But you wanted to ask about when I got robbed?
I did. I was gonna jog back a little bit, but this is a good one, everybody.
Well, yeah, right. It was in November, first of all. And USC-UCLA football game was coming on. And I was all set to watch it. And all of a sudden I got a call and they said, hey, you know, you're closing tonight. I went, oh, shit. Okay, I'll be there. I'll watch the last half. And I got there and we closed 15 minutes early before we locked the doors so that the people would have a chance to see the medicines. You know, people just can't walk in and say, gimme. They don't know what we have. We had like 40 strains. We always carried 40 strains.
It's a good amount.
Yeah, it's a good amount. It's a lot amount, actually.
You don't see that in dispensaries that often, so
No.
that's pretty cool.
So we got there, and all of a sudden, these three guys came in, and one guy was carrying a little kid's backpack, and one guy started to close the door, and I said, no, don't close the door. We'll take care of that. I want it open. He opened it back up, and I turned around, and the other guy was pulling this Tech 9 out of the
Those
little
guys in
kid's
California don't mess around. Those
No,
gangsters.
they don't. So he told me to get on my knees, and I have pictures of it from the cameras. And he put it to the back of my head and said, everybody cooperate and we'll be fine. So they locked the doors and took us all, 6 of us, into the back. And they didn't know what they were doing. They were the biggest, stupidest crooks you'd ever want to see. And they wanted to get the tapes from the security camera. And I told him it was up in this one box that actually it used to be, but that had been compromised, and we had moved it to another place. But he jumped up and knocked the door open, and it was empty. So then he comes back and he points the thing at me again, and he tells me, I'm going to put you all in a pine box for Christmas.
Good line.
Well, yeah, in 1950.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, and I'm like, so I had to, you know, and then they said, well, where's the money or whatever? And I said, okay, it's back here. They got into the big safe. And then they said, oh, there's the money safe. And I said, you want me to, you know, he was telling me to open it. He says, no, give me the numbers. I said, you'll never know how to open it. I can give you the numbers, but unless you know which way to turn and how many ways to turn and what have you, just shut up and give me the numbers. I said, okay, I'll give you the numbers. So he never got it open. I didn't give him the right numbers anyway.
Oh, nice.
And so they took my wallet, and I said, don't take my wallet, you know, I got my kids, you know, grandkids' pictures and stuff. You don't need that. But that didn't stop. They took the phone, they took the wallets, and they hurriedly left because they had been too long. They were told to be in there for a certain length of time. There was a driver outside. So when they left a backpack back, kid's backpack with the name Blakely handwritten on it, and there was money in it, and there was some other cannabis in it, and they took jars of cannabis, which they dropped a couple of them, and they tried to take the change. There was money, that change that went all the way around to where the van was parked. So anyways, we're all handcuffed and while they're running off, and they finally run away. We cut ourselves out, we called 911, got the sheriff. And then we went on the computer because they broke our phones, but they didn't disable, be able to, on the computer,
The
Well,
GPS
again,
there?
the GPS on it. Yeah.
Aha!
So when the cop
Got him!
when the sheriff got there, they're on Franklin Avenue, getting onto the Hollywood Freeway, getting onto the 14, getting onto the 7.
They didn't even need the helicopter, huh?
Well, no, because we didn't know what the car looked like.
Gotcha.
So all we knew is that it was going. And they were calling ahead to the different, to Lancaster, Palmdale, and so on. We don't want to lose this one. And then there was a place stop, and then they got again and went on. And they finally stopped in Lancaster. And they sent a helicopter over to measure the heat of the engine, because the address that we had a hot engine. So then they went in with SWAT. Within 20 minutes, they were arrested. And then, now mind you, I had less on than this. I got a sweater on here today. I just had a shirt. We're talking November now in Lancaster. Lancaster,
a little chilly?
is cold as shit. And so we go out there. So they ask if we would identify him. Well, okay. So they drive us out in cars, and they keep us in separate police cars, so that we can't collaborate our story together. And we drove them all out, and they bring them out, and we're in a police car. They can't see us, but we can see them. And when it was my turn, the guy came out, and he wouldn't get out of the police car. And they're fighting. They said, "Pepper him." They go, "Don't pepper me, pepper him in your car." He said, "I'm not driving back to West Hollywood with a car full of pepper spray." So they finally bring him out, and he wouldn't lift his head. So they put a foot in his knee, grabbed his hair, and pulled his head back so I could see his face. Then the other one came out, these big brave guys with Tech 9s, right? The kid's crying.
Oh, yeah.
Crying like a little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So we identified the three, and the driver was an older guy that was really mean. He looked right at me and spit.
Oof.
And so anyways, they got arrested. We never got the cannabis back. We never got the money back. We got the envelopes that we could turn into the insurance, and
Yeah.
after a year, they finally paid us. But I was always suspicious where that money went.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah, I think they had a good Christmas.
Yeah.
But
Well-
that's okay, that's not my concern. We got our money back.
Yep.
And when we went to court, they finally pled guilty. But 3 times we went to court, and they said, we don't want them to see you. We don't want their family members to see you, because they'll follow you home and intimidate you. And so the 3rd time we went, which was the last time, they're going, well, again, one guy won't cooperate, so go on home. As we come down to the 2nd floor, the thing opens, and there's the entire family waiting to come in. And his girlfriend was a good 6'3", 6'4", eye to eye, but had probably 100 pounds on me.
She have a strong right hand?
I didn't want to test what she had. So each time they told us to drive around for a half an hour, 20 minutes, until you're sure nobody's following you, and then go home.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely did that day. And then they finally agreed to 19 years, because they had 6 counts of armed robbery and 6 counts of kidnapping, because they took us into the back and handcuffed us.
Hey, good for them. You want to do the crime, you got to pay the time.
But you never know what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. That was a fortunate situation. Everybody got out healthy, and you recovered, got your insurance, and pray for most of the times that it happens that way. But sometimes you get whatever could happen.
Yeah, no, I had a friend of mine who got shot in the neck at
Oof.
Green Goddess in Venice.
Oh, that's a tough spot.
Yeah, he's okay.
Did he live?
But yeah, he lived. But sometimes they don't care.
Yeah.
And these kids, they were just so dumb, leaving everything. By the way, when they got to the house, they had a kid named Blakely
Oh.
that matched the kid's backpack.
Yep. Got him again.
And then when they
Red-handed.
were cuffing me, he put the Tech 9 down beside me.
Oh.
I could have grabbed it. But, I haven't touched a weapon since the service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not a Tech 9.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure where the safety was, or if it was on, or if it was loaded. Maybe his wasn't loaded, So I thought about it, give him a kick away and grab it. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to turn it into a gunfight. I don't care. They can have anything they want.
Yeah. Yeah, let them take it. I agree. So now we've covered a lot. we've gone through a brief stint of fast forwarded because you have a plethora of information and knowledge. I mean, we could go on, but one thing I really want to touch upon with every great individual in this arena of CBD and cannabis tends to be a strong woman or man or whoever you want to be behind you. And I know that Susan is wonderful, and she was part of the pharmacy. She ran a pharmacy.
She managed the Westwood store.
Tell everybody about Susan.
Yeah, Susan, my wife, who's my love of my life, actually. She's just delightful. And she never had done a retail business before. She was into buying up mortgages, bulk mortgages. And that kind of fell out. So she was free. And the Westwood store was not doing well. It was losing $25,000 a month.
Why was that? I mean, it seems like California is like such
Well,
a crowd or inventory of smokers and
right. Well,
cannabis enthusiasts.
but nobody, Westwood was kind of a straight-laced.
Okay.
You got UCLA right there.
Yep.
And
That's where my daughter wants to go to college, by the way.
Okay,
She's
but-
gunning for UCLA, so
It's a
Westwood
great
it
school.
is.
Great school. So we thought it would be a real thing for the young kids, but no, it didn't pan out that way. And plus, there was no parking.
Parking's
Absolutely.
huge when it comes to that, huh?
Yeah, UCLA owns most of Westwood.
Yeah.
And they keep edging a little bit. I think eventually it'll all be school.
Yeah.
But it was just a real struggle there, and as far as the right people and the right tone. And Susan took over, and within 3 months, she was making $25,000 a month.
Turn that thing right around.
Turned it right around because she was very compassionate. Compassion is everything in this business. People come in, and nobody would leave empty-handed. If they didn't have money, we would find something for them. And so that's the philosophy that she had. Everyone came in with a hug. Everyone got cared for. I even played Santa Claus at Christmas for people, and men, women, children, they'd sit on my lap for a picture. They got a picture to take home. It just suddenly became their store. Suddenly became an identity, kind of a cheers, where everyone knows your name. That's what she brought. So,
That's the best. That's what people want.
So it began building more and more. Our oldest patient was 104 years old. And we have a picture of
How
her.
long was she smoking weed for?
Or
Or using cannabis?
She mostly used edibles.
Yeah.
It had been fairly recent. But she was the oldest one, so we took pictures with her. Like I say, West Hollywood was all AIDS. Westwood was a school and kind of compassion, and of course Venice was strictly a beach community party house. When we opened up the Westwood store, the Venice store, we had a party. Courtney Love came and joined on the band to sing. John Bonan's kid jumped on the drums.
Wow.
So, this is the kind of thing that went on all night long until finally the police came by and said, you got to shut it down.
What were your hours of operation back then?
Hours of operation were from 10 to 8.
10 to 8.
And we closed 15 minutes early to give people a chance to shop and see things. And of course, everyone would be upset. Oh, it's 10 minutes late, let me in. No.
You know the rules.
Yeah, if they hadn't been processed yet, because we were very strict. We would, you got they had to have a doctor's recommendation. And then we'd verify that recommendation with the doctor. And even when we had our grow, they allowed 6. What we're doing is a collective is they've gotten together collectively, and that's their collective. They own it. We just own the lease and the license and the product and everything else, but the people actually own the collective.
So you could grow for all the people
I
that
could
were
grow
part
for
of your
all the
collective.
Owning a print shop for 29 years, I knew of a plastic paper, and I made copies of all their recommendations, cut them out, and every plant had a copy of someone's recommendation that was on it. And it still didn't fly very well with the feds, except for to beat it. But they destroyed the crop and everything.
That's a bummer when that happens.
Well, they think they're doing the right thing, and the law was being stretched. You know, we weren't legal to do that, but we could legally know what we were putting in. Fish mulch instead of, harsh chemicals. And most of the guys that we had that were growing have been growing for 50 years, 30 years. One of the guys that we had growing told us of a very funny story up in Emerald County, up in the Green Triangle. His $50,000 helicopter ride. And what happened, he had just moved up there and was putting a crop together. Everyone else has got their crops. And then there was a fair, and the guy was offering helicopter rides. So he said, how'd you like to fly a little bit? I'll give you some money. Can you fly a little bit? I'd like to see what my ranch looks like from the air. Because he wanted to see what they were seeing with the helicopter. And you could see the little donuts around all the plants where everyone was going. So he got kind of, okay, I know what to do now. And the next day there's a knock on the door. It was the other guy, said, long time there. When that helicopter went over, I thought it was DEA. I ripped up my entire crop. You owe me $50,000 if you want to exist in this part of the country. So he had no choice.
Yeah.
Had no choice. It's either that or you'll never grow here again.
Yeah.
You don't come into somebody else's domain and fuck it up.
Yep. No, that's all right. You can let it rip on here and say whatever the fuck you want.
Well, I have a better.
No, yeah. No, that's okay.
But
it's
the
real story right there.
Yeah, it was some of them were, and of course, when we had the first big convention, we took 4 booths. We spent $80,000 on that. We were introducing our drink. We had ice sculptures that were hollowed out, so you'd pour a little bit and it would come all through and cool down and come into a little cup. We had the gals wearing old World War II nurses' uniforms, a little shorter, and we put on a hell of a display.
Nice, a little something for everybody.
Yeah, and when we did anything, we did it first class. And you either do it right or you don't do it at all.
Stay home.
Yep.
Well, that's all good stuff, Bill. I want to thank you, for coming on out, making the trek here to the CBD Center in East Greenwich, our new facility here at our media room. It's always great to spend time with you and kick the can around and learn more from you every time I'm around. I want to give a big thank you to your better half, Susan, for letting you out the house today.
Oh, yeah.
Susan, hello. Miss you. Get together after all this passes and have a big hoot and hollering time. Hopefully sometime sooner than later.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But you've done a good job. Everyone that's out listening there, I can tell you, in all the years of experience in California, I'm proud to associate with this store. And I think anyone that comes here will find it to be a pleasant and profitable thing for their life as well. I mean, he's providing something for you that can only make your life better.
Thanks for the plug, Bill. I appreciate that, and
it's well deserved.
And we're gonna make you proud here at the CBD Center. Onward and upward.
Yes.
And we got one thing here. I just wanted to show everybody today. We had our new single serves come in.
Oh, nice.
I don't like iced coffee with melted ice, but I'm gonna do it today just because this is the best coffee in town, Felicia's. We have the single serve, 25 milligrams. It's not granular, so it's liquid. It mixes very easily into anything. I'm gonna take this on the road. It'd be fun to smoke joints again together, right?
It would be nice.
Just goes in easily like that. Today I'm drinking I believe it's coconut, a little soy milk. Made the switch to soy a couple months ago when this stuff started. Just a couple mixes. It's nano-emulsification, even distribution, and boom, that's a CBD iced coffee. So we're excited about these, Bill. I'm gonna send you home with some today, and some other goodies in the goodie bag.
Oh, thanks.
And big virtual pound down, my friend. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to really be ratcheting up our activity moving forward. Summer's here. I live for summer. It's a Memorial Day weekend. Might even throw a couple shrimps on the bobby this weekend. Put some music on, kick back, some Willie Nelson, and do the thing that we like to do, Mr. Bill.
That's for sure.
But thanks again, everybody, from tuning in, and everybody have a great day, and we'll check you soon.
All right. Thank you.